Hello my dear friends. So in this series of video, we are going to learn few basic things about Arduino, and it's me Raja Babu again with a new series of a video, and this is going to be an interesting series. We are going to learn uh, basics of Arduino programming as well as the hardware part. Hope you will enjoy the series of videos. Let us start the video. So let us know what is Arduino first, and later we will see what are the features available in it and how to use it for various applications. Let us proceed with one topic now. So Arduino is an open source platform used to make electronic projects. Okay, it's not limited only for electronic projects. Even the electrical and mechanical projects can be, but the software part where you need a control part will be done in the Arduino board. Okay, and obviously the hardware part will be the power circuits will be either electrical or mechanical, or anything can be, but the control part can be the logical part where you develop your logic to perform a particular task can be done in this Arduino boards. Okay, so basically this Arduino board has microcontroller and related accessories like crystal and the power supply, A to D converter, D to A converter. We are going to see what are the features are there one by one. Okay, and there are connecting terminals for input terminals and output terminals, and analog inputs, digital inputs, and we have a transmitter and receiver pins. Okay, there are many features also available, and also we have a platform to write a code or a program. Okay, so where we develop our logics and then we move these logics to the microcontroller. So this development environment is generally called as IDE, Integrated Development Environment, which is also coming from open source. It is available in the website, which is shown here. You can see in this website. Okay, so when we visit this website, Arduino, you can download this free version. Okay, and once you download that, and there are sample programs available in this software. Once you install, you can see the software programs, sample, lot of sample programs available. Let us see those things a little later. Okay, so this is about the simple introduction for Arduino board or a platform. Okay, so where we have a physical hardware. Okay, it's a board, development board, and as well as we have a software platform which will be installed in our computer where we do the program and we can upload the program to the Arduino. Different type of Arduino boards are available, so that is what we are going to see in the next slide. So various types of Arduino boards. At present, I have placed a few Arduino boards here, but there are many. Okay? There are many available. So most commonly what we can see is Arduino Uno, and we have Arduino Mega, and then we have a Node MCU. Okay, so likewise there are many different variants available for this Arduino, the Lillipad, and kind of a different type of Arduino boards are available. Okay, so the boards are categorized are different from each other with respect to these parameters. Few parameters I have enlisted here. You can see the type of microcontroller available in the board and the operating voltage. So how much power supply can be given to this board, the current consumption, and how many digital inputs and digital outputs are available, and how many pins can be used for pulse width modulation, how many analog inputs are available, and the flash memory, RAM, static RAM, and then we have a EEPROM, clock speed, and how much current it will be delivered from this input or output digital pins. So there are few more parameters available. So I have taken only few important parameters here. So for each type of Arduino boards, we have a different microcontrollers. So here we have Arduino Uno Atmega 328, and for Arduino Mega we have Atmega 2560, and similarly for Node MCU, and we have a ESP8266, and the features are different for each and every type of Arduinos. So based on the application, what is required, based on that we can choose this Arduino board for our application. So usually when you purchase a mobile phone or a laptop, we see the processor speed and the RAM capacity, and similarly the clock speed and the memory, these two are very important. And since it is a controller which is going to take an input and do some process and then control the output, we also need to focus on how many digital inputs and outputs are available, and similarly analog inputs, how many inputs and outputs are available. Based on our requirement, we can choose the type of board which is required for our application. So this is one of the latest version of Arduino board. Okay, so if you see the previous slide, in this slide we can see the fastest one, the highest clock speed for this microcontrollers which I have shown here is the for Node MCU we have 80 megahertz, and for Node MCU version 2 we have 52 megahertz. This is for the mobile or the laptop we are seeing in terms of 1.6 gigahertz or 2.2 gigahertz, like that, the processor speed. And similarly for this microcontrollers, we have the clock speed 80 megahertz is the in this table the 80 megahertz is the highest ones. Now there are some Arduino boards which is coming with the high speed operating this one. So where we can have 320 megahertz. So compared to the other boards, this is the fastest board, and the features available also it's more. For RAM we have 1 megabytes, and we have more features available here. So it is also 16-bit resolution ADC is available, and the timers we have 22 timers, and watchdogs we have 200 megahertz, and we have many features available in this particular type of Arduino boards. Okay, so if you want to know about more information about this, you can Google it, you get the information for this Arduino boards. So let us go to one particular Arduino board and let us see in details what is there inside. Okay, so let me take the commonly used Arduino board. So it is Arduino Uno. So where I have a microcontroller Atmega 328. So this Atmega 328 has 28 pins. Okay, where all our digital pins, digital input and analog outputs and power supply, crystal, everything will be connected. So these chips also we can buy outside instead of buying this board together. We can buy the chip also. We can make our own Arduino board as well. It is possible. Yeah. So since it is readily available in the board format, we are taking it in this format. If the application requires to put it on the PCB, we can make a separate. We can buy the separate chip, and we can design our own Arduino board, and we can connect our accessories whatever required for this particular pins. Yeah, so if you see here in this picture, it is very clearly given what are the pins available and what are the features available. Okay, so one by one we are going to see. So here there is a USB jack where the USB cable will be connected with Arduino and computer, and there is a power jack. Okay, so when the USB jack is not connected, okay, once the program is uploaded, then this controller is going to work as a standalone device. That time only we need to give the power. So either you connect it to the computer using the USB jack. So when we connect like that, the USB jack also delivers the power required to operate this Arduino board. Or once the programming is done, so I need not to connect it to computer. So I will remove this USB jack and I just give the power jack here so that it can give the power to this microcontroller board, and the remaining things will be working as normal as things. Okay, so now let us see the features one by one. So we have the pins here. Let us see the pin what we have. So here we have 3.3 volt, 5 volt, and we have ground pin and VIN pin. So this reference pin. So all these pins are available. So which if we want to take a 5 volt for our external sensors or LED kind of things, so we can take from here. 3.3 volt also we can take from here. So these all coming from this power jack or the USB jack. So there is a regulator inside the board. After regulating, it is coming through this output. So we can take this as output to connect it to the external device like LEDs or buzzer, kind of a small nodes or small devices. And analog pins we have in the Arduino Uno, we have 6 analog pins starting from A0 until A5. Okay, so we have these 5 pins. I will talk about this SCL and SDA a little later. Now let us see only the analog pins. We know these analog pins are used for connecting the analog sensors. For example, if we have a temperature sensor, if we want to measure the temperature, say we have LM35, okay, LM35 sensor. So this is a temperature sensor. If you want to measure the temperature, so we can make use of these 6 inputs. Any one of the inputs pin, we can connect this LM35 sensor, so that this analog input, whatever is coming here, it will be go through this pin. And internally built ADC is there, so the analog to digital conversion will takes place. After that, the data will be sent to the microcontroller. Okay, so for that purpose, we have this analog pins, and we have digital pins from 0 until 13. So we have total 14 digital pins available. Okay, so we can connect the digital outputs and inputs here. Say for example, if you have a small motor, okay, or LED. Okay, so this is our digital output. Okay, so if you have a switch, okay, normal push button switch, so this can be a digital input. Okay, so digital output and digital inputs. So any kind of digital input and output can be connected, provided it should not take more than 15 milliamperes of current, which can be delivered by these individual pins. Okay, so if the load requires more current, then we will put a relay kind of a thing or a transistor kind of thing, driver. Then after the driver, the particular load will be connected. But here the outputs will be coming zeros and ones. That is a 5 volt or so, which will be coming as 0 or 2 volt to 5 volt. So this is the range. So when 5 volt comes, it is a high, and when 0 comes, it is a lower level. So that kind of output can be coming from here. And these digital pins, we also have pulse width modulated pins. Let us see that this particular topic after forthcoming this one slides. So we have almost 6 pulse width modulated input pins. So you can see 3, 5, 6, and 9, 10, 11. So all these are pulse width modulated input pins. So I am going to we are going to see what is this pulse width modulated pins. Okay, and also we have 2 pins dedicated for transmitter and receiver. So these 2 pins are used for serial communication. Again, we are going to see this also in the forthcoming slides. Okay, so this is about the pin configuration. So we have digital pins as well as the analog pins and power supply pins. So these are the pins. So now let us see what is pulse width modulated pins. What is, so before understanding the pulse width modulated pins, so we can first let us know what is pulse width modulated pulse width modulation. Okay, so if you see this picture, it shows very clearly. Okay, so if you have a signal like this, say if it is a 5 volt signal, okay, if it is a 5 volt signal, If you connect it directly to the input terminal, so this 5 volt will be continuously given to the input pin. Okay, suppose if you give, if you connect it for 10 milliseconds and 10 milliseconds off, and then again 10 milliseconds on and 10 milliseconds off. So if you connect in this fashion, so what will happen? So in the average, the total average of this signal, okay, so though the peak is 5 volt, but the average will reduce to 2.5 volt. I hope you understand. So this signal, let us take this DC signal which is having 5 volt. Okay, so you give a continuous signal like this 5 volt, so you get the the voltage what is given to this is will be average will be 5 volt. But if you chop this like this on time, say you have you take 50% duty cycle. So let me take this is 10 millisecond and on and 10 millisecond off. Okay, so in this way we are making on and off, on and off. So what happens? So when I have a duty cycle of 50%, okay, so that means on time is 10 millisecond, off time is 10 millisecond. So when it goes, the total cycle time is 20 millisecond, on time is 10 millisecond, off time is 10 millisecond. So the duty cycle comes as a 50%. So the voltage will be reduced to 2.5 volt. So by varying this duty cycle, okay, by varying this duty cycle, I can vary the output voltage. Okay, output voltage. So by varying the output voltage, I can control the output device. Suppose if you have a LED here, okay, if you have a LED here, so this LED brightness can be controlled. So when you give 5 volt, okay, when you give 5 volt, so the LED glows very brightly. And when you give 2.5 volt, the brightness getting reduced. And when it goes to lesser than that, again the brightness will keep reducing. Okay, so from 5 volt, okay, so until the minimum voltage required for the LED, we can reduce it from 4.5, 4 like that. It will reduce it based upon the duty cycle. Okay, so the brightness of this LED can be controlled, or you can take a motor. Okay, so the motor can be connected, a small DC motor. If it is connected with this, so what will happen? The speed of this motor can be controlled. So when you have a 100% voltage, that is 5 volt, then the motor rotates in the normal rated speed. And when the voltage is getting reduced to 4, 3, 2 like that, then the motor, speed will be reduced. So this option can be done in a digital pin. Okay, so actually, if you want to control a motor in an analog pin, it is possible. We can give the value. We can give the value. So maybe in the next presentation, I will tell you how to control the analog, how to control the load using the analog pins. But now it is an introductory class, so let us not go into that depth. So this is analog, right? But we are not using this analog pins. We are going to use a digital pin. You can see it is a digital pin, but we are going to make this digital pin to work like a analog pin. So that is the usage of this. That is the beauty of this pulse width modulated output. So we can control the output in a analog fashion using the this simple digital pin. So by writing a simple code like this. So here I have a code. Okay, I have written a code, and this is how it is going to change the pulse width. So based on the pulse width changes, then the speed of the motor or the light intensity can be changed. So let me show you a simple sample which I have connected in the Tinkercad software. Yeah, so if you see this Tinkercad software, hope you know this Tinkercad software. If you are not aware of this, maybe I will make one more video for this Tinkercad software, how to use this Tinkercad software. So now I will just show the code and how the pulse width modulation code is going to work. So I have an Arduino board and I have connected a motor here, and let me check. So this is the code which I have shown there in the slide. The same code I have put it here, and I'm going to simulate this. When I simulate this, you can see here the motor speed changes. Okay, so the motor speed is increasing, until the maximum speed, and then so it goes to almost 5000, and then it is reducing to the lower level. Okay, the speed is getting reduced because I put it in the loop, so forward loop as well as the reverse loop. So now it came to 0, and again it is increasing to the maximum limit. So I have connected the motor in a digital pin, but the control action, what is happening here is something similar to the analog. Okay, analog, just like an analog. Okay, so this is one simple example of using the pulse width modulated pins. So this is very much a useful feature for controlling the temperature of a heating coil. Okay, to control the speed of the motor, the light intensity. Likewise, many applications can be done using this pulse width modulated outputs. Okay. So that is about the pulse width modulation and serial communication. So as I told you a little earlier, so we have RX pin and a TX pin. In the digital pin area, we can see pin number 0 and pin number 1 is used for RX and TX. So these transmitter and receiver pins are used for connecting different modules. Like if you want to connect if you want to connect a Wi-Fi module, okay, ESP8266 Wi-Fi module, if you want to connect it with the Arduino Uno. So there we have in the ESP module also we have a receiver and transmitter, and similarly here in the Arduino also we have a receiver and transmitter. So to make a communication between these two devices, we need a the point transmitter and receiver point. So here in this transmitter and receiver, the communication takes place in a serial way communication. So it is not a parallel port communication, it's a serial port communication. So not only the Wi-Fi module, there are many other devices which has the serial port ports, like for example energy sensors. Okay, so where PZE M004T, yeah, that sensor has this RxTX. Likewise, many sensors has this RxTX and GSM module. Okay, so when you want to communicate with these modules with Arduino, so we can connect these pins. And if you have more devices, like you have one GSM module, one Wi-Fi module, and then we have one PZEM04. So that when we have like many devices, so we can use a software serial also possible. So there are libraries available in the website. Okay, so by using a software serial, we can use all these digital pins. So like I said, from pin number 2 until pin number 13. So there are these 11 digital pins. Any pins can be used as a receiver and a transmitter by using this software serial libraries as well. So this is the purpose of serial communication, RX and TX. And SPI, serial peripheral interface. Okay, so here some devices like SD card, RFID modules, we have, it's a serial communication only, but here we have more pins. Okay, so we have master and slave configuration. So when we want to connect this RFID kind of SD card kind of devices, we can go for this serial peripheral interface modules. So here, let me show that where it is available. In the, so yes, we have here. You can see this is MISO, MOSI, and this one, CK. So all these pins are available here. So we can make use of these pins when we are connecting the these modules, whatever the module which I've said. Similarly, we have SDA and SCL, so we will see that little later. Okay, so these pins, serial peripheral interface pins, can be used for connecting these RFID card readers and SD card modules and wireless modules and all these kind of devices. And yeah, here the details is given. SPI, serial peripheral interface, are dedicated pins for SPI communication. They can be found on digital pins 10 to 13. So just now I have shown you. Okay, SS, so this is a slave select pin, determine which device is the master is currently communicating with. MISO, master in, slave out, a line for sending data to the master device. MOSI, master out, slave in the master line for sending data to peripheral device. SCK, serial clock. So it is a synchronized communication. So hope you know that the communication can be synchronized communication or asynchronized communication. So the serial communication which we have seen little earlier is not a synchronized one. So there is no clock signal given there. Okay, but here it is a synchronized one. So we have a serial clock also given here. So if you see these steps for SPI data transmission, so usually the master outputs the clock signal like this from the clock, okay, and then the master switches the chip select into low voltage, which activates the slave. So it gives this low voltage, which will activate the slave. Then the master sends the data 1 bit at a time to the slave along with MOSI line. You can see here it is sending the data 1 bit at a time. Okay, reads the and the slave reads the bit as they received. If a response is needed, the slave returns the data 1 bit at a time to the master along the MOSI pin. Okay, so MOSI pin, it will send the data back. So from here. Okay, so from here, the MISO pin, the slave will communicate. The MOSI pin, the master will communicate to the slave. Okay, so this is about the steps. First, the clock pulse will be sent. Then the chip select pin will be kept it in the low, and then the master will communicate using MOSI pin, and the slave will communicate if it is required using MISO pin. Okay, then there is another configuration, that is the I2C configuration for communication. I2C configuration also used for connecting devices like our LCD modules. Okay, so like these devices, SCL or SDA, we have two pins here. Okay, so let me explain this little later. Okay, SCL and SDA pins are dedicated pins for I2C communication. On the Arduino Uno, they are found on analog pins A4 and A5. So just now I have shown you here in the analog pins. Yeah, here you can see SCL and SDA, Arduino Uno. So if you want to communicate this, our LCD modules, so we can use these pins for connecting this. Where LCD module with I2C backpack. Okay, so if we have a serial port communication, so where data pins are 4 pins, then we need not to have this SCL and SDA for connecting LCD. But if you want to connect it with I2C backpack, so then we will go for SCL and SDA configuration here. So let us see what is this I2C communication. So SCL is a clock line. Again, it is a synchronized communication, and SDA is a data line. Okay, data line. So this is how it is connected. So it is used for connecting two Arduinos. Master and slave configuration is possible, or you can connect many devices with a Arduino. So we can have a I2C bus. So where we can connect a more number of devices, master and slave devices. So SCL, SDA is a common bus we can use, and we can have a many slave devices so that the master can communicate. So you can have more master and more slave here in the SPI, this one. So only one master is the master, and the slaves can be more. But here in the I2C, we can have more masters also and more slaves also is possible. Okay, so for one example, you can see for this I2C configuration. So I have a GY80 module, so where we have different sensors like a magnetometer and accelerometer, barometer, and gyroscope. So we have different sensors connected in the single module. So these different sensors is going to send a different data. Okay, all these data is going to come in a single bus, I2C bus. Okay, so that I2C bus is going to carry the data to this SCL and SDA pins. Okay, so when these SDL, SDA pins are connected, so using only these two pins, I can connect this many number of sensors. So that is the beauty of this SEL and SDA, this one. So if you are not using this I2C configuration, so for each sensor, we will need to have one input terminals, communication terminals. Since this device is used this I2C configuration. So all these different sensors will send the data in the same bus, I2C bus, and we need to connect only two pins in the Arduino board. So you can see here GY521 here, this device, and then GY80, this device. Both are connected to the same SCL SDA pin, and each device has more than 3 or 4 sensors which is inbuilt in these modules. Okay, so we have these SCL SDA pins here, and similarly SCL SDA pins here, so that based on the protocols, the data will be transferred from different sensors. So from here the data will be transferred, and here also it will be transferred in vice versa case. So either this Arduino can be sending the data, or the sensors can be sending the data to the Arduino. Okay, so this is a simple example for this I2C configuration. So these are just method of communication between the Arduino and the various external peripherals. So interrupt, just like other microcontrollers, we have interrupts also available here. So we have two types of interrupt: external interrupt and pin change interrupt. So external interrupt can be taken from this two pins, that is pin number 2 and pin number 3, and the pin change interrupts can be activated on any of the pins. So this particular topic we will discuss detail depth in another presentation with examples. Now let us go to the Arduino basic programming. Okay, so those are the physical hardware details about the Arduino board, Arduino Uno board. So this information can be a little change with respect to different boards. Okay, so based on the boards what we have, the SCL SDA pins where it is connected will be different, and the number of RxTX, here it is only one RxTX available, but in Arduino Mega we have more RxTX pins available, and even in the Node MCU also we have more RxTX pins available. So likewise the configurations can be different, but the purpose remains same. So this is the purpose of using this pulse width modulation, and then serial communication, SPI communication, and then we have a I2C communication. Okay, and then now let us come to the programming. So we have the IDE, as I told you earlier. This is the IDE. So this is the software which we need to download and install. So once you install, you can see this page. So you can see here new, open. So if you have the already saved file, you can open from here. Open recent, whatever that you have used, you can open from here. And for the beginners, we have the examples here. Okay, so we have basics, and where we have blink, LED blink program, small programs. Okay, digital inputs, and we have analog input output programs, and we have many. So I have many libraries installed. So we have different programs. If you are installing the raw software, maybe you will not have this many examples, but you will have enough amount of examples, like the one which I have shown you here, basics, digital, analog, and LCD kind of things. So like that we have examples. So if you want to take any of the example, you can just take, say for example, I will take this blink. So if I open this, the program is already available. So what they say, so this is the pattern where we need to put a setup loop, and then we have to write a loop function. Two functions we have to write. So in this setup, we have to write which pin is used as what input or output, like that. And in the loop we have to write a logic. Okay, so I will explain one simple example here, so that okay, so let me take the same Blink itself so that it will be easy. Okay, so if you see this Blink program, so what they have done is, so they have declared the LED built-in pin. So this is a 13 in the Arduino Uno board. Pin number 13 is connected to the LED pin. So 13th pin is used as a built-in LED. Okay, so the LED is a output pin. So they declared in this output. Okay, so this is the pattern we have to use. So we have to write it in the capital letter here. So this can be of anything. So you can even put it in a small letter or number, whatever it is. So since they have put here everywhere LED bulletin, so I have put like this. Otherwise, you can write here like this 13, pin number 13. Okay, so we can write like this, pin number 13. Okay, so in the loop, what they do, they need to write a logic. Okay, so here digital write 13 comma high. The digital write means the digital pin 13 we are going to write, that is we are going to make it high. Okay, high means it will make the LED to glow. For how much time? It will be for 1 second. So this is incoming in a milliseconds. 1000 milliseconds is equals to 1 seconds. After that, so it is going to make digital write 13th pin low. That means we are going to make it off. Okay, that is again is going to be 1 second. So let me take this code and let me put it in the Tinkercad so that you can see how it works. So let me take a new circuit. Okay, so I will take one LED and I will take a Arduino Uno board here. It's very simple actually. This Tinkercad is very simple. So let me connect it to 13th pin. So the color of this wire can be changed here, and the black color. Actually, I need to connect with the resistor because 5 volt cannot be directly given to the LED. Here nothing will happen since it is a simulation, but when we are connecting it into the direct live, the LED will blow off. So I take 1 kilo ohm resistor. Okay, so in the code part, so let me write the code which I have copied from there. So already we have the same code here, so I am not copying from there. Okay, digital write LED pin high for 1 second and low for 1 second. Let us simulate this. So you can see here the LED is on and off for 1 seconds. Okay, so this is very simple. Okay, so for connecting one digital output. So this is a digital output. We have connected one digital output in pin number 13, and we wrote the logic that it should be on for 1 second and it should be off for 1 second. Okay. So next simple example, let us see here. The next one is, you can see here, one switch is here, that is a button, push button, and we have a one LED. So when the push button is pressed, the LED will be on, and when the push button is released, then the LED should be off. So that is the logic. So for that, what I do, I need to write a code. First, I need to declare variables. If I have any variables, so I need to declare a variables. So let me see here, int button state equals to 0. This is a variable, so we are going to use it in the count. We can see. So I declared a variable here. So whatever the variable we have, we are going to use it inside the program. We can declare it earlier here. And later, after the variable declaration, we come to the setup mode, as I told you little earlier. So here pin mode 2 acting as a input. Okay, so the second pin of the Arduino board is going to act as a input pin. Okay, to input. And the 13th pin, I am going to make it as use as a output. Okay, so the 13th pin, I am connecting the LED, so it is going to work as a output. And then the setup is finished. So we are coming to the loop. So what I need to do, I need to read the input from the second pin. I need to read the input from the second pin, and that data, either it is on or off, that needs to be stored in this button state. That is a variable I declared here, right? So that is a variable. So digital read status, what is the status of this pin, will be stored here in the button state. Once I store this status here, then I can see whether it is high or low. Then I can write a logic. If the button state equals to high, that means if it is reading high, that means make the LED also high. Digital write 13 pin high. Else it is not high, it is a low. There is a possibility high or low. Only these two possibilities are there when it is in a digital. Okay, else if button state equals to low, then we can write digital write 13 low. Or you can write without this statement also, else enough, else write digital write 13 comma low. It is also possible. Okay, so since I put if, so that I wrote here button state equals to low. If I did not write this if, only I wrote else, then I can open the curly braces and write what I want to write. So this is the condition. If this condition is not satisfied, then obviously this will be the second condition. So if you have many conditions like that, then we can write a if else condition. Otherwise, we can write a directly if. Okay, if then else, that is enough. Only two condition means you can write only if and a else. If you have more conditions like this, then you can write if, then else if, then like that. Okay, so for reading the data, that is a input signal from the external input signal, that is a sensor or a switch. Then after that, based on this input, I am going to make the output to work. So that is a simple program here. Okay, we can connect this, but it might take a bit time in connecting the Tinkercad. So I won't do that now, because we have a few more points to discuss. Okay. So there is one more example here. So this I will show you in the Tinkercad. So where I have a lights which is connected from pin number 2 until pin number 13. All these light is going to work in a running way. That is a chasing light. Okay. So let us see how this works. The Tinkercad, I have already wrote the. So let me take my design. Okay. So I have here. Yes, it is taking a bit time. Okay. So this is the hardware connection. I have connected lights, chasing light. Okay, chasing light, and the code for this I have written here. Okay, so I have declared a variable, so which is nothing but a delay. Okay, how much time the light will be on and off. So based on that, I put a delay variable. So it need not to be written here directly. Also, we can write here 50 like that. Okay, since it is either way you can do it. Okay, so I declared a variable which is meant for the time of delay, and then setup I have written. Since I have more inputs, I put a for loop. So that otherwise I need to write how many inputs are there, that many how many LEDs are there, that many times I need to write pin mode like that. So for that, for avoiding that complication, what I did, I have put this in this fashion. Yeah. So here for loop, j equals to 2. It can be I or x or whatever it is. It need not to be j. Okay, integer j equal to 2. So that means we are going to start from pin number 2. Okay, so pin number 2, and then less than or equal to 13. So until 13th pin, j plus plus 1 by 1 it will increment. So pin mode. So j equal to 2 output. Then next loop j equal to 3 output. Next loop, next cycle it will show j equal to 4 output, j equal to 5 output. Like that it will go. Since we have written in a loop, so we have made it only 2 lines. Otherwise we have to write how many LEDs are there, that many times we have to write this same sentence. So for avoiding that, I just made it as a loop. Then in the loop function, here we are going to write what is going to happen to the LEDs. Okay, so here I equal to 2, I less than or equal to 13, I plus plus, and digital write I delay. How much time? 50 milliseconds on and 50 milliseconds off. So that means first LED, that is pin number 2, will be on for 50 milliseconds and pin number 2 off for 50 milliseconds. Then pin number 3, that is the LED which is connected in pin number 3, is going to be on for 50 milliseconds, off for 50 milliseconds. So this continues until 13th pin. Okay, so the LEDs will on for 50 milliseconds and off for milliseconds, and then again it will come back in the reverse order. Okay, from 13 it will come back to 2. So this loop continues again and again, goes from second pin to 13th pin, on off like that. Similarly coming back from 13th pin to second pin. So this looping, so this is a little for making you to understand how the more number of digital pins works in the same code. So let us see how it works. You can see the lamps running lights, so just keep running. Okay, coming from here, go back there. So the same thing can be connected with the hardware. Okay, so if you are having the Arduino board with you and these LEDs and a simple resistor here, so here since it is a chasing light, only one light is going to be LED going to be work at a time. So that's why I have connected only one resistor. In case if you have other applications, so we may need to connect each LED with one resistor. So since it is a chasing light, I have connected with only one resistor. Okay, so you see how simple it is. Yeah. Okay, this software is very good for the beginners or the learners to learn many Arduino related programs. Actually, we need not to buy the materials, and we need not to have the breadboard, power supply, and so many other things. We can just have the Tinkercad installed. It is 100% free. You can install in your computer, and then you can connect these one by one. And we have, as I told you, in the Arduino, we have the example programs we can copy and put here in the code. And only one thing, we have to see which pin they have connected input and which pin we have to connected output, and what is the logic. Okay, so accordingly we have to connect the input and the output here in the Arduino, and we can simulate and check the output. So once you get confident, then we can go for a little more complicated sensors like analog sensors and further complicated circuits like many sensors together to accomplish a particular task. We can go for simple to higher level complicated programs to achieve our targets. Okay, so that's it for today. So this is a general introduction. So hope if you have any doubts, please let me know in the comment box. So I'm going to put a series of video, and the next video I will explain few analog sensors, how to interface the analog sensors